Good morning, dear students. This is Mr. G. Raju, Associate Professor, Mechanical Engineering Department, KHIT. I'm going to deal in mechanics of solids or strength of materials in the second BTech first semester. The first unit in this simple stresses and strains. Second unit in the mechanics of solids, the shear force and bending moment diagrams. Third unit is bending and shear stresses. Fourth unit is deflection of beams. Fifth unit is thick and thin cylinders along with columns and stress. Now, unit 1, we are going to study the simple stresses and strains. Introduction. Coming to the introduction, this mechanics of solids mainly deals with the behavior of the solids. It is also called the strength of materials. The materials which are deals with so many materials are used in engineering applications: brass, aluminium, wood, or timber. So many materials, mainly building structures, we are going to use mild steel. This is a material which are very soft material, ductile material. These are some of the materials which are going to deal by the mechanics of solids. So in statics and dynamics in engineering mechanics subject, we are already studied in the first year. In that statics and dynamics, bodies are considered as rigid. Rigid means the bodies do not undergo any deformation under the action of external forces. But in mechanics of solids, it is deal with the behavior of bodies under the action of external loads. Moreover, the deformation under the load is the major interest in mechanics of solids. Now, external forces which are applying on the body is called the load. What is meant by load? Load is the external force acting on a member. External force acting on a member is called the load. Just a minute. That units for load is newtons. Here I mentioned that unit for load is newtons, because the load having the same units as that of the force. The loads may be classified as different classifications are there based on the manner in which the forces are applied on the bodies. First classification is distributed load. That first point is distributed load. Second one is concentrated load or point. What is meant by distributed load? Distributed load, the name itself indicates the total load which is applying on a member is distributed throughout the length of that member. Here, a diagram shows that one member, the beam is there. Number of forces, external forces are acting. These are called the loads, which are applying on at different points on the beam. These forces are distributed throughout the length of the member. Like this, the forces acting like this, these forces are called distributed load. The units for distributed loads is taken as newtons per meter. Newtons per meter. That is, load applied per unit length is called the distributed load. Next, second type of load based on the manner in which they are applied is concentrated load or point load. The load which is applying on a member is concentrated at a single point. That means at a unit area, at a small area, it is applying on a member. A diagram shows that one member is there on which a single load, that single external force is acting at a single point or a small area. Applying on the body at a small area, it is called the concentrated or point load. The units of this load is units itself, newtons itself. Next, second type of classification is based on the nature of applications. Yeah. Second type is based on the nature of action. That is static load, dynamic load, fluctuating loads, which is also called the cyclic load. First one is static load. Static load means the total load which is applying on a member. It varies from 0 to maximum value. There itself, from there the remains, the maximum load is constant during the entire of its applications. This is the static load, which develop a small effect on the body. Then second type is a dynamic load. Dynamic load, as we know that the total load which is suddenly applying on a member within a small interval of time. It is also called the impact load. Impact load means the load applying on a member within a fraction of time. That is called the dynamic load. Next, fluctuating load is the load which we are applying on a member is, with its magnitude and direction is always changes continuously on that member. That is called the fluctuating load or cyclic load. Next, third classification is based on the effect produced by that load on the member. These are the tensile load, compressive load, shear load, torsion load, bending load. These are the 5 approximate types of loads which are based on the effect produced by those loads. First one is coming to the first type of load is tensile load. Tensile load is the load which tends to increase a member. Like this, we are applying a member, we are applying load on a member. The load which tends to increase a member, length of the member is called the tensile load. This diagram shows that the member on which the load is applying outward direction, like this type of load is also called pulling load. Due to this pulling load, the member tends to increase its length. That type of load is called the tensile load. Clear? Next type of load is compressive load. Compressive load means the load which tends to decrease that member. The load which tends to decrease the length of the member is called the compressive load. This load is also called pushing load. Pushing load means the load acting on a member towards center of the member, that is inward direction. Inward direction load is called the compressive load. Due to this load acting on that member, the member tends to decrease the length of the member. Due to this P load applying on two sides of the member, due to this load, the member tends to decrease. Then third type of load is shear load. Shear load means the load which tends to slide a surface on the outer surface, other surface of the member. This diagram shows that the member on which the load is acting on axially, that is tangentially, due to this load, the member is trying to slide one of the surface of the member on other surface. This type of load is called the shear load. It is also called a tangential load. Coming to the third type of load is torsional load. Torsional load is the load which tends to twist a member or rotate a member about its axis of the member. It's called the torsional load. This is the diagram shows that the load which is acting on left hand of the member, this is left hand of the member in anti-clockwise direction. The right hand of the member is in clockwise direction. Due to these two loads are acting opposite direction on the two ends of the bar or member, the member is trying to rotate in clockwise direction from the right hand side. Clear? Next type of load is the bending load. Bending load means that it is the transverse load. Transverse load means the load which is acting on a member perpendicular to the axis. The type of load is transverse load. Those loads which tends to bend a member. The type of load which tends to bend a member like an arc of circle. This is called the bending loads. Bending loads like this, bending loads are one load is acting on anti-clockwise direction left hand, clockwise direction on right hand. clockwise direction, clockwise direction on left end, anti-clockwise direction on right end. Due to these two types of load acting at the ends of the beam or ends of the member is trying to bend like an arc of circle. So this type of load, the load which is acting on this type of member is called the bending load. Clear? Coming to the mechanical properties of materials. Actually, we are going to, before going into the subject, we have to know some material properties. Material properties based on the material behaves. So mechanical properties are associated with the behavior of the material subjected to mechanical load. When we are applying a load and when we are applying the load on a member, which behaves, how to behave the member. Based on that, behavior, based on the properties having that member, which behaves by applying the load on it. So first property in that is strength. It is defined as the capacity of material to resist an external load under given condition is known as strength. Strength means it indicates that indirectly it is the capacity or ability of material to resist an external load. When you be applying the load on that member, it can oppose that load and develop the internal forces on that member based on this strength. That internal forces developed by applying the load, external load, that the internal forces depends on the strength. If the strength of the material is more, it opposes more forces, more loads. Then second property is hardness. Hardness is defined as the ability of material to resist against abrasion, scratches, and indentation is called the hardness. Abrasion, scratches, the lines which are produced on the material surface, and the indentation, that is the load. When the load is applying on that material, the holes are created at the surface which are opposed by that material. If that opposing nature is high, then its hardness is also high. That property is called the hardness. Next, the third property is ductility. Ductility is one of the important property for the ductile materials, for the engineering application materials. Ductility means it is the ability of material to deform under tensile load. This property mainly applied in the wire drawing operation. In wire drawing operation, the material is ability to enlarge the length by applying the tensile load. It can be formed into the small diameter wires. That property is called the ductility. Then next property is malleability. Malleability almost is same as the ductility, but in place of tensile load, it can be capability to absorb the energy in compressive load. That is the ability of material to deform under compressive load. Due to this property, we can roll or hammer the material into thin sheets. Next property is brittleness. Brittleness is also called the brittlity. It is defined as the ability of a material to fracture with a little deformation. This type of materials are not that much deformation occurs before fracture by applying the external load. That property is called the brittleness. Coming to the elasticity. Elasticity, as we know that we already studied in the previous classes, that elasticity nature is it is defined as the property of material to retain or regain its original shape when the removal of external loads on it is called the elasticity. That type of material, the material which regain its original shape within elastic limit, is called the elastic material. Then plasticity. Plasticity means the property of material which does not regain its original shape when the removal of external load on it. This property is called the plasticity. Whenever we are applying the load beyond the plastic deformation, the permanent deformation occurs in the material. It does not regain its original position. That type of property is called the plasticity. That type of material is called the plastic material. These are some of the properties which are generally to know the subject in the subject. Next, another 3 properties are there. 3 elastic constants are there, which are also a property under the properties of materials. Modulus of elasticity, it is also called the Young's modulus. The Young's modulus is defined as it is the ratio of linear stress to the linear strain within the elastic limit, which is denoted by capital E, and units for this can be represented in newtons per mm square, which is also called the megapascals, or newtons per meter square, which is the pascal. We can represent as in pascal or in megapascal. Next property is modulus of rigidity. Modulus of rigidity is also called the shear modulus. It is defined as the ratio of shear stress to the shear strain. Shear stress means is the tangential stress, or tangent stress occurs in the material by applying the tangential force is called the shear stress, and the shear strain is the angular deformation when we are applying the tangential force on that member is called the shear strain, which is denoted by G. The modulus of rigidity is denoted by capital G. Units for this is also same as the modulus of elasticity, megapascals or pascals. Third property, third modulus of modulus for the material is bulk modulus. As we know that it is defined as the ratio of longitudinal stress to the volumetric strain. When we are applying the load on a member, the longitudinal stress developed within that member, along with the longitudinal stress, the strains also produced in that member by applying the external load. The strains in all directions, the summation of strains in all directions is called the volumetric strain. This is the longitudinal stress we are applying in the axial direction divided by volumetric strain is called the modulus, bulk modulus, which is denoted by capital K, and the unit as same as that of the remaining previous 2 elastic constant, that is the megapascals or pascals. Coming to the actual topic of our simple stresses and strains, the name itself is the stress and strain. What is meant by a stress, first of all? How to define a strain? How to calculate a strain? This is the important aspect in the mechanics of solids. Stress is nothing but the resistance force offered by a member when we are applying the external load on it against the deformation under the external loads per unit area is called the stress. That means when we are applying the load on a member, that member is opposes that force in opposite direction. That means the member developed the internal forces opposite to the external loads. That opposite forces are called the resistance forces. The resistance forces offering on that material per unit area is called the stress. The units for the stress is represented as megapascal or pascal. In this diagram, we can observe that this is the member on which the load is acting on different directions on both ends of that member. Let us take a small sectional view, that is the section at this point. By observing at this section, this is the section, we are sectional view. On the sectional view, by applying due to the external load we are applying on that member, the internal forces, that is the resistance forces developed on the members opposite to the applied load. This is the resistance force, these are the normal resistance force, these are the tangential resistance force called the shear force or shear loads. These are the 2 resistance force per unit area, every per a small area which is acting. The resistance force per unit area is also called the stress. The formula is this. It is represented by sigma. Otherwise, in some books, it is represented as small p. It is the normal stress sigma or small p is represented, and the shear stress is represented by tau or small q. Here the stress is sigma is equal to R by A, that is the resistance force offered by a member divided by per unit area, cross-sectional area of that member is called the stress. Then this R can be replaced by the P, because when we are applying the load on the P, when we are applying the load on the member, the equal and opposite for resistance forces developed within the member. Therefore, mathematically we can write as R replaced by the P. Therefore, the equation becomes stress is nothing but a load applying on that member by cross-sectional area of that member is called the stress. Clear? Then strain. What is meant by a strain? Strain is nothing but it is defined as the ratio of change in dimension due to the loads to the original dimension. When we applying, for example, let us see this diagram. In this diagram, original length of the member is, let us take the capital L, and the delta, this delta is the extension due to the applying load, tensile load, by applying the tensile load on that member. When we apply the load on that member, tensile load on that member, the member is trying to enlarge at a distance of delta. This is called the extension. Extension is the enlargement of that member by applying the tensile load. Now, what is the strain? Strain is nothing but the change in length. This is the delta divided by original length of the member, L, is called the strain. It is represented by epsilon. Strain is represented by epsilon. This is the normal strain represented by epsilon, and the shear strain is represented by phi. It is angular displacement, is called the shear strain. Here epsilon is equal to delta. Delta is the change in length of that member. Capital L is the initial length or original length of that member. So change in length by original length is called the strain. In some books, delta can be represented by delta L. That is, the delta L is change in length by applying the external force on a member divided by original length, capital L. This is called the strain. Strain, it is denoted by epsilon or E. E is also a notation for the strain, normal strain in some books. And next, it is having no units because it is a ratio of two linear dimensions. That is, the delta is also a linear dimension. L is also a linear dimension. Ratio of two linear dimensions is having no units or no dimensions. It's a dimensionless parameter. Next, coming to the types of stresses. We have different types of stresses and different types of strains. First of all, we discussed about the types of stresses. In that, tensile stress is the major one. That is the main stress which is acting on a member, which is developed within the member. Tensile stress means it is the resistance offered by a member against increase in length. Per unit cross-sectional area is called the tensile stress. That means it is the, by applying the tensile load on a member, this is the pulling load P in outward direction. When we apply the load on outward direction, let us take a sectional view, that is the sectional plane. At the sectional plane, we observe that the resistance forces which are opposite to the applied load on this member, and also we are applying the P on this member, the resistance force developed within a member in opposite to the applied load. Clear? These are the resistance forces. R is the resistance force. This resistance force per unit cross-sectional area. This resistance force against the tensile load per unit cross-sectional area is called the tensile stress, which is represented by sigma suffix T. Tensile load, tensile stress. That is, tensile stress is the ratio of, previously we said that stress is R by A, that is the resistance force by the area, cross-sectional area, or load acting on that member, tensile load acting on that member per unit area is called the tensile stress. Next type of stress is compressive stress. Compressive stress means it is the resistance offered by a member against the decrease in length per unit cross-sectional area. In this type of stress, the stress developed within a member by applying the compressive load here. We are applying the compressive load, that is the pushing load, which is also called the pushing load. Due to this pushing load or compressive load, the member is trying to decrease its length. If the member having the highest strength, it opposes the resistance force opposes the applied load. The resistance force which opposes the applied load tends to decrease against the decrease in length per unit cross-sectional area is called the compressive stress. Compressive stress, which is denoted by sigma C. Compressive stress sigma C is equal to, formula is same as that of the tensile load, that is the resistance force offered against the decrease in length by applying the compressive load per unit area, cross-sectional area is called the compressive stress. R can be replaced by P because mathematically they are magnitude wise, these two are equal. Therefore, we can mathematically calculate as P by A. P is the applied compressive load, A is the cross-sectional area. The load must be here, the load, compressive load must be perpendicular to the cross-sectional area. So this type of stress is called the compressive stress. Then shear stress, coming to the shear stress. Third type of stress is shear stress. It is the resistance offered by a member against the shear deformation per unit tangential area is called the shear stress. When we observe this diagram, two members are connected by a riveted joint here. One joint is there, that is called the riveted joint. When we are applying the tensile load on that member, that is the load applying on the member, this rivet is trying to angular deform, or the upper portion of the rivet is trying to slide on the lower portion of the rivet. So by observing enlarging view of a rivet, we applying the load, that is a Q, at this point outward direction, at this point in left hand direction. Due to these loads, the rivet is trying to slide, that is upper part of the rivet is trying to slide on left hand side, and the lower part of the rivet is sliding down right side of the member. Due to this load, by applying this load on the rivet, the internal forces in this rivet are developed in opposite to the applied load. That is, R is the resistance force. Here we are showing that R is the resistance force which are opposing direction to the applied load. This load is called, here we are applying the load on the rivet. This load is called the tangential load. Q is called the tangential load. That tangential load divided by an area, that is the tangential area, that is the area which is parallel to the applied load. Here the area is there, the area is parallel to the applied load is called the tangential area. The tangential load per unit tangential area is called the shear stress, which is denoted by tau. Otherwise, R by A resistance force, that is the tangential resistance force per unit tangential area is called the shear stress, which is denoted by tau, and units per all the stresses having the same units, that is the newtons per mm square or newtons per meter square. Newtons per mm square is also called megapascals. Newtons per meter square is Pascal. Clear? Next, coming to the strains, types of strains. First one is the tensile strain. It is the ratio of increase in length to the initial length of the member when it is subjected to a tensile load. When we are applying the tensile load on the member length is trying to increase, that is, it is enlarges or extended. It is extended delta. This delta represents as enlargement or increase in length, and L is the initial length. Tensile stress means that increase in length delta or delta L divided by initial length is called the tensile strain, which is denoted by epsilon C. Sorry, epsilon T. Suffix T is the tensile, epsilon is the strain. Next, second type of strain is compressive strain. These two are tensile strain and compressive strain, both combinedly called axial strain, because the strain produced within a member in an axial direction, that is the parallel to the axis. That's why these are called axial strains. Coming to the compressive strain, it is the ratio of decrease in length to the initial length of the member when it is subjected to compressive load. So when we are applying on this member compressive load, that is the compressive load means is a pushing load. Due to this pushing load, the member is trying to decrease its length. Say delta is the decrease in length by applying the external compressive load. If L is the initial length, then decrease in length divided by initial length is called the compressive strain. Generally, this compressive strain is taken as negative. Similar in case of stresses also, tensile stress is taken as positive, compressive stress is taken as negative. Here also, tensile strain is taken as this strain is taken as positive, and it is taken as negative, because decrease in length in this case, the change in length is -1. The change in length delta L divided by L is the compressive strain, which is denoted by epsilon C. Clear? Next, coming to the another type of strain is lateral strain. It is the ratio of change in dimension of a member in lateral direction to the initial lateral dimension. Lateral means the direction which is perpendicular to the applied load is called the lateral direction to that load. Here we are applying the load on this member, tensile load, that is the pulling load, and this member, it is the compressive load or pushing load. In these two cases, when we are applying the loads on the member, in the first case tensile load applied, its length is, no doubt, its length is increases delta, and also its lateral dimensions means in this direction, it's a breadth or thickness. Its lateral dimension B, which is represented by B here. B initial dimension is B. After decreasing the dimension in the lateral dimension, it is represented as B dash. So lateral dimension is decreases by applying the tensile load. In the second case, when we apply the compressive load on this member, the lateral dimension is increases and the linear dimension is decreases. The lateral dimension, initial lateral dimension is B. After applying the compressive load on that member, B dash is the final lateral dimension. So in these two cases, lateral dimension is changes by applying the load. If we apply the tensile load, the lateral dimension is decreases. If we apply the compressive load, the lateral dimension is increases. Lateral means it is the perpendicular direction to the applied load. So in this case, the lateral strain means change in dimension in the lateral direction to the initial lateral dimension. That means change in lateral dimension means is the delta B. In this case, B is the initial lateral dimension, B dash is the final lateral dimension. Let us take a V, delta B can be taken as B minus B. B minus small b dash is called that delta B. In the second case, the lateral dimension increases when compared to the initial lateral dimension. Then change in lateral dimension, here we can take it as B dash minus B. It is taken as delta B. Clear? So delta B is nothing but change in lateral dimension. B is the initial lateral dimension of the member. So change in lateral dimension divided by initial lateral dimension is called the lateral strain. Clear, students? Adhamavutunda? It is understand? Okay. Next type of strain is shear strain. Shear strain is, it is the angular deformation or angular displacement of a member when it is subjected to a shear load. Previously I told that shear load means is a tangential load which is applying on a member parallel to the axis. It is called the shear load or tangential load. Here we can take, if we observe the diagram, this is the square or cube with unit width, unit thickness. When we apply the load on this member on four surfaces, that means at the upper surface on left hand side, lower surface, sorry, it is a right hand side, and the left right hand side, right hand surface, it is applying in downward direction, and left hand side it is applying on the in upward direction. Due to these loads applying on the surface of this member, it is trying to angular deform like this. Initial shape is A, B, C, D is the initial shape. After applying the load, tangential load or shear load on this member, the final shape is A, B dash, C dash and D dash. It looks like a parallelogram. So a some amount of angular deformation takes place. That is, AB is moves towards the AP dash or DC is moves towards the DC dash. This angular dimension, angular displacement or angular deformation is called the shear strain. Then we can calculate this angular deformation or shear strain like this. Take tan phi. Tan phi is equal to how much displaced in the lateral direction. That is the tangential direction. That is the B dash. B becomes B dash. This is the tangential direction. The member is moves towards the left hand side, and the AB is the length of the member or height of the member. So if we take the tan phi for this triangle AB B dash, it is the opposite side by, that is the BB dash by adjacent side is the AB. BB dash by AB is the tan phi. So if the lateral direction, if the shear strain is very small, that is the angular displacement or angular deformation is very small, tan phi can be write as phi. So therefore phi equal to BB dash by AB. The phi is called the shear strain, which is denoted, shear strain is denoted by phi. And the next type of strain is volumetric strain. Volumetric, the name itself represents the volumetric strain, means is the ratio of change in volume to the original volume of the member subjected to external load. When we apply the load on that member, the strain is produced in all the directions. That means in the applied load direction and perpendicular to the load direction, the dimension of that member is changes along summation of all the strains. That is, the summation of all the strain means the strain in the load direction and strain in the perpendicular to the load direction. These all the summation is called the volumetric strain. This volumetric strain defined as the change in volume of that member when we applying the load on that member divided by the initial volume of that member is called the volumetric strain, which is represented by epsilon V.